Your weekly tip from Daniel Roston, brought to you by iCare Pro, helping you get the most out of your website.
Today's SEO question: how important is the age of my domain name? Let's look at the question. Your domain name is the stuff that follows after www.whatevermywebsiteis.com. Now, how important is the age of that domain has two factors. One, how old is the domain name? And two, for how many years is it registered, as in when will it expire? The age of the domain name often has no bearing from a search engine optimization perspective, except for the fact that it's likely that your website is a number of years old, and therefore it's built up links and a history with Google over time. Otherwise, the age of the domain name is usually irrelevant unless it's only a few months old. If it's only a few months old, it's quite possible that it will be placed in what's called the sandbox, which is an area that recently registered domain names are placed. They don't get as much trust as domain names that have aged for longer than a few months. The sandbox is anywhere from 3 to 8 months. Usually about 6 months is the average time that a domain stays in the sandbox. It doesn't mean you won't rank highly during that time. It just means it limits your overall possible rankings. Now that has to do with how old the domain name is. Looking forward, let's say your domain name expires in less than a year. Does that hurt you? What if it expires in 2 or 3 years? Does that help you? There's an argument on the internet as to whether or not when your domain name expires matters. It's safe to say that if you do register your domain name for at least 2 or 3 years, you're on the safe side of the argument. So if it doesn't matter, you're okay. And if it does matter, you're going to come out ahead. So my advice to you, take a look at when your domain name expires. And if it expires in less than a year, go ahead, renew it for 2, 3, or even up to 5 years. That way Google trusts you and believes that you're going to be using this website for a long time to come. Questions about today's weekly tip, or about your website, or a suggestion for another weekly tip? Please give me a call, send me an email, and I'm happy to try and help. Thank you for listening.
Your weekly tip from Daniel Roston, brought to you by iCare Pro, helping you get the most out of your website.